The thin blue line was shattered.
Tonight at 5 o'clock, community is now in mourning this evening after a Boone County Sheriff's deputy was shot in the line of duty. We just learned over an hour ago that Deputy Jacob Pickett will not survive his injuries, but will live on as an organ donor.
The sheriff was actually one of the first to arrive after the shooting and tried to perform CPR on the injured deputy.
And tonight we have team coverage of this tragedy. We start tonight with our anchor, Scott Swan, at the Boone County Sheriff's Department. Scott, what's the latest from there?
Andrea, there is just heartbreak and sadness for 30-year-old Jacob Pickett, this young father of two, 30 years old. He had only been in law enforcement 5 years, and today gave the ultimate sacrifice. We're over the next few minutes going to be getting reaction from the sheriff and other residents here in Boone County. But first, we want to begin our live team coverage with Mary Mills, who joins us at St. Vincent Hospital, where Deputy Pickett was taken after he was shot this morning. Mary, what's the reaction there?
Just heartbreaking news. Folks are grief-stricken, as you can well imagine, and that news did just come out within the last hour here at St. Vincent, where both the Boone County Sheriff and the Superintendent of State Police did share that news, as you said, that Deputy Pickett will not survive his injuries. We do have a picture of him with the sheriff. He is the one in blue. He is being kept on life support so that he can be an organ donor and continue to serve and help others. Now, Deputy Pickett was 30 years old, as you said, Scott, a husband, a father of two young boys, and a 5-year veteran and canine officer. He, of course, as we said, was shot in the line of duty while trying to help Lebanon police pursue a man wanted on a warrant. He was airlifted here to St. Vincent Hospital, where dozens of officers flocked throughout the day. We're talking about officers from several different departments, their hearts heavy with grief. As Sheriff Michael Nielsen said, this is something you never, ever want to see happen. Extremely hard. He also mentioned that Officer Pickett was the first deputy lost in the line of duty in 83 years.
The public safety family of Boone County is heartbroken. We have lost a canine officer, a deputy, a friend, a warrior, and a brother. There are no words that can explain the grief that we feel today. We are family. We are grieving. We are desperate for God's mercy and grace. Please continue to pray for Jake's family and for the public safety officers of Boone County. The next several days will be some of the hardest we have ever been through, but together we will endure this hardship and persevere.
He will immediately incarcerated. Also told that officers will be with Deputy Pickett and his family as arrangements are being made.
The shooting took place. This is at an apartment complex in Lebanon today. You can see during the chaos, we're told that one of the suspects used to live in this complex. Officers in full gear. Some of the guns were drawn during this as they were searching for those suspects after they fled that traffic stop this morning. Now, I want to give you a timeline so you can better understand how this all unfolded this morning. It started around 9:30 this morning. Lebanon police were out serving a warrant on a woman. While they were trying to do that, they spotted a man who was also wanted on a warrant. That suspect fled with two others in a car. Lebanon police then got in their vehicle and started chasing them. That's when Deputy Jacob Pickett joined the chase. At 9:39, 7 minutes after it all started, a car stopped on Indian Springs Road and the suspects ran off. One suspect was wounded by Lebanon police. A second suspect fled on foot but was eventually arrested. And a third suspect was arrested after another car chase on I-65. At that point, Deputy Pickett had already been shot and he was being airlifted to St. Vincent Hospital. Eyewitness News reporter Kevin Rader has been on the scene all day. He joins us live to continue our team coverage. Kevin, what has this been like for you covering this today?
Scott, it's happened too often. You and I have had this discussion where we've covered this kinds of incident way too often. But this is 7 minutes that not only changes a family's life, it changes a whole community's life. 7 minutes that this community would like back, including the sheriff.
I was in my office. I heard the call come out that they were in a pursuit, and I started that way from my office. And I'm sorry. We were able to, after the shots fired, I was one of the first three officers on the scene, and the officers were administering CPR and life-saving.
Scott, and that made this a little bit easier, but no less heartbreaking.
Yeah, there's so much heartbreak here. We want to continue our live team coverage now. David McAnally's over at the booth.
To give handshakes as the thin blue line, the members of the police forces from around central Indiana start to meet here. They had been going to the sheriff's department just up the street a few blocks north here, and then the sheriff announced at his last news conference that this would be the official place to come and remember the family and the life of this police officer. It's something that Sheriff Brandon made the point a moment ago, and you were talking about the years that it has been since they have had a fatal shooting here involving a Boone County officer. And he was saying that, you know, that we have been lucky, but he was also recalling the time back in the 80s when Trooper Mike Green was shot on the highway here just along the county line. And Dennis Brannon was out there that day. And the sheriff at the time was out there, Ern Hudson, administering life CPR. They lost that trooper, of course, in that incident. It's something that these men and women who wear the uniform see. But, you know, just talking to the sheriff, a former sheriff a moment ago, it's not something you get used to, and certainly not something that's easier to deal with each time it happens, without a doubt. So violent in a violent shooting. We'll have more for you tonight as the evening goes on. David McAnally, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
Yeah, we say so often, Mac. For your report. It should be noted what the people of Boone County have been going through this week. You remember earlier this week there was a high school student who was killed in a car crash at Western Boone High School, and then also this week a city councilman has died, and now this tragic shooting today. So the people of Boone County have gone through so much heartbreak throughout this week. Our live team coverage continues back in the Eyewitness News studios. Sandra Chapman has been looking into the suspect's history. Sandra, what have you learned?
Well, Scott, the two younger suspects had outstanding warrants, and the older suspect certainly has a history with law enforcement as well. A Marion County judge issued a warrant for the alleged shooter, 21-year-old Anthony Baumgart, just last week when he failed to show up for court. He's charged with theft and criminal mischief. And we found John Baldwin, the younger Baldwin, has 3 active arrest warrants in 3 different counties. All 3 warrants were issued in January for probation violations. In Boone County, he was serving probation for unlawful possession of a syringe. In Marion County, the warrant was issued after he failed to show up for a hearing. And in Vigo County, he's wanted for violating probation and an auto theft case. In fact, Baldwin's dad, John Baldwin Sr., paid his son's bond in at least one of those cases. Now, the elder Baldwin also has a criminal history, as we said. This information certainly raises questions about whether the suspects thought police might be looking for them, but nothing suggests this would escalate into a police shooting as it did today. Just one of the things investigators will be asking in the coming days, and we'll have much more on these suspects' backgrounds and their connections to the location of today's shooting. All of that coming up at 6 o'clock. Scott, back to you.
All right, Sandra, excellent work on 13 Investigates, giving us a better idea about who these suspects were today. Of course, we'll be following the legal proceedings, of course, in the weeks to come, but our hearts are really heavy tonight for this deputy's family. The fact that he leaves behind a wife and 2 young children. Their father won't be coming home tonight, and our hearts are breaking for that family tonight, and we offer our thoughts and prayers to that family this evening. We're going to continue to report live tonight from the Boone County Sheriff's Department. We'll have more coming up for you tonight throughout the next 90 minutes. But for now, I'm Scott Swan. Ben, Andrea, back to you guys.
Scott, we echo the sentiments, certainly. We'll be checking back with you, as you mentioned, all throughout the evening. Scott, thank you so much.
And Ben just mentioned, we'll have continuing coverage of this still developing story on our website at WTHR.com.
Another